Trapped on a planet of giantesses, his only escape was their desire. The stars burned bright in the black ocean of space, and the small human ship moved silently between them, its engines glowing blue like a heartbeat in the void. Inside, the pilot, Ethan Ward, checked his instruments again, his eyes tired but focused. He was returning from a long mission, dreaming of Earth, not knowing that fate was about to send him far away from home. A sudden alarm filled the cabin, red lights flashing. A wave of static covered his screen. Then came the explosion. His ship spun out of control, flames licking its metal body. Ethan tried to pull the control lever, shouting into the radio, "Mayday, this is Captain Ward, ship damaged, requesting emergency coordinates." But no one answered. Only silence. The sky outside turned from black to gold as he entered the atmosphere of an unknown planet. Fire surrounding him, his voice fading in the roar. Then everything went dark. When Ethan opened his eyes, the world was still. His helmet cracked, his suit torn, and the smell of burned metal filled the air. He lay in the wreckage. The sky above him painted with 2 moons and thousands of glowing stars. The air was thick, humid, and sweet. Like breathing inside a strange dream, he sat up slowly, every bone aching, and looked around. The forest around him shimmered. Giant flowers opened and closed with every breath of wind, their petals glowing like soft lamps. Ethan pressed the side of his helmet, trying to activate the distress beacon, but the device only blinked once and died. The crash must have damaged the power core. "Great," he muttered, his voice weak. "Now I'm alone on a strange planet." As he stood, he felt the ground shake beneath him, not like a normal tremor, but something alive, something walking. Leaves fell from trees. A sound like thunder echoed in the distance, deep and slow, as if mountains were taking steps. He crouched low, pressing himself behind a broken part of his ship. Listening carefully, the sound came closer, louder. Then he saw a footprint, deep in the soil, wide enough to fit 10 of him inside. Ethan's breath caught in his throat, his eyes wide. "That's impossible," he whispered. He climbed the ridge nearby to get a better view, but as he reached the top, he froze. In the glowing mist of the forest below, something moved, tall shapes, half hidden by the trees. They were not machines. They were not animals. They were women, enormous women, their skin shining like silver under the twin moons, their hair flowing like rivers of light. One of them turned her head, her glowing eyes scanning the forest. The movement was slow, graceful, but full of power. Ethan ducked behind a broken rock, heart pounding, his breath shallow. A faint humming sound drifted through the air, a soft female voice, humming a tune that made the ground vibrate. Then a voice, deep and clear, spoke words he didn't understand, but the tone felt curious, playful, and dangerous at the same time. He slowly crawled back down the ridge, his boots pressing into the soft ground, every step careful, every movement quiet. Suddenly the earth shook again, and he fell forward, pain shooting through his arm. He turned and froze. A hand, massive and smooth, broke through the foliage, its fingers long and elegant, grabbing his broken escape pack as if it were a feather. The giant woman bent down, her enormous eyes glowing gold, studying the object with interest. Her lips moved slightly as she whispered something, the sound deep and sweet. Then another shadow appeared beside her, even taller, her voice sharper, as she pointed toward Ethan's direction. His pulse raced. He hid behind the wreckage, praying they wouldn't notice. The ground shook again, closer now, the sound of their breaths deep and rhythmic. Leaves rained down from above as one of them crouched near, her scent washing over him sweet, warm and strangely human. Her voice came again, soft but filled with hunger. "I smell?" A male, Ethan's blood turned cold. He pressed a trembling hand over his mouth, trying not to breathe. The giantess lowered her face near the wreck, her eyes glowing through the darkness, her lips curving into something that looked almost like a smile. Her voice whispered again, "Come out, little one." Ethan's mind raced. He needed a plan. He glanced toward the emergency flare near his feet. Maybe he could distract her. He picked it up carefully, ready to throw. But before he could move, her hand shot forward, shaking the air with its force. Metal groaned and trees cracked as her fingers wrapped around the wreckage she was hiding behind. The giantess lifted it easily, her eyes widening as she saw him small, human, terrified. For a moment, she didn't move, her gaze curious and almost gentle. Then, slowly, she smiled, her voice rolling through the forest like thunder. So small, and yet so warm. Ethan stumbled back, his heart racing, but before he could run, her other hand closed around him like a cage. Soft but unbreakable, she lifted him close to her face, her breath warm against his skin, and whispered, "You belong to us now," as the night swallowed the forest and the stars glowed above. Ethan realized escape wouldn't be simple. The world around him trembled with the sound of giant footsteps and low, hungry laughter echoing in the distance, and far above the clouds, something ancient watched him fall deeper into this strange world. A new story was about to begin, one filled with danger, desire, and impossible choices. And if you're enjoying this mysterious start to Ethan's journey, don't forget to gently subscribe to the HFY Sci-Fi channel. More stories like this await you among the stars. The air felt heavy and alive, like the whole planet was breathing around him. As Ethan dangled helplessly in the giantess's hand, her warm skin pressed against him like a living wall. Every heartbeat from her pulse echoed through his body. He struggled, pushing against her fingers, but his efforts were like trying to move a mountain. She tilted her head, amused by his movements, her golden eyes reflecting his terrified face like a mirror. "You fight?" she said softly, her voice deep and smooth, the translator in his suit barely catching the meaning. So small, so alive. Another shadow stepped closer through the trees, and Ethan's eyes widened as a second giantess appeared, taller, darker-skinned, her silver hair glowing faintly, her expression more serious, more commanding. "Valera," the first one whispered. "Look, I found a living male." The taller one's eyes sharpened, her voice firm. "Impossible. Males are extinct, you fool." Ethan froze, his mind spinning. Extinct? Valera leaned closer, her massive eyes narrowing. She studied him with a mix of disbelief and awe. Her breath washed over him like a warm breeze. "He's human," she murmured. "Not one of us." The first giantess giggled, her deep laughter shaking the ground. "Then what is he doing here?" "I don't know," Valera replied. "But the queen must see this." She reached out her hand, and the first hesitated, then reluctantly passed Ethan to her, his body trembling as he was transferred like a fragile toy between two enormous beings. Valera's grip was firm but gentle, her skin smooth like glass. She lifted him to her face, her glowing eyes softening for a moment. "Do you understand me, little one?" she asked slowly. Ethan swallowed hard and nodded. Activating the broken translator on his wrist, the device crackled and spoke in a robotic voice. "Yes, I understand. Not harm." Her eyebrows lifted, clearly impressed. "He speaks," she whispered, and turned toward the other. "We must take him to the fortress." The other giantess frowned. "If the queen knows, she will claim him." "She has the right," Valera said firmly. "We can't hide something like this." Their voices thundered through the forest, echoing across the valley like a storm. As they began walking, Ethan looked around in awe and fear. The trees bent beneath their steps, Glowing insects danced in the air like sparks. Rivers shimmered with silver light. The planet was beautiful, terrifyingly beautiful, filled with color, sound, and life too large for him to comprehend. He noticed how the giantesses moved graceful but heavy, each step measured, as if they were used to hunting creatures much bigger than himself. They spoke to each other in low tones, but sometimes their eyes flicked toward him with curiosity, even hunger. He realized then he wasn't just a discovery, he was temptation. Hours passed before they reached the edge of the forest, where the land opened into a vast plain of glowing grass and crystal rocks. In the distance stood a structure so tall it pierced the clouds, a fortress carved from stone and light. Shimmering under the twin moons, "This is where she lives?" Ethan whispered. Valera's lips curved slightly. "Yes, little one. The Queen of the Orin." The name sent a shiver down his spine. It sounded ancient, powerful. As they approached, other giantesses emerged from the shadows' huntresses. Guards and priestesses, all towering, all breathtaking. Their eyes filled with curiosity as they saw Ethan. "Is that truly a male?" One gasped. "From the stars?" Another whispered. They surrounded Valera, reaching out, their long fingers brushing the air near Ethan, their whispers full of awe and hunger. "Don't touch him," Valera growled, her voice suddenly fierce. And the crowd stepped back immediately, her authority undeniable. Ethan realized she wasn't just any warrior, she was someone important, someone feared. Inside the fortress, everything glowed softly, walls made of living vines, the floor covered with flowers that pulsed faintly underfoot, the air thick with scent and warmth. Ethan was placed gently on a raised stone platform, still trembling, his small form surrounded by the massive women who looked at him like he was something between prey and miracle. One of them leaned close, her voice sweet and mocking. "He's so tiny. How can something so small be real?" Another giggled. "Maybe he's a gift from the sky gods. A sign that balance will return." Valera frowned. "Quiet," she said. "He's frightened." Her tone made them step back, but their curious eyes never left him. Ethan looked up at her, his voice shaking. "Please. I don't want trouble. I only need help. My ship crashed." Valera tilted her head, clearly trying to understand his words. Then she nodded slowly. "You fell from the sky," she said, "and now you are in the hands of the hungry." "Hungry?" He repeated, his heart pounding, her lips curved in a strange smile. "Both sad and dangerous. Our people have not seen a male in 1,000 cycles. Our hunger is not for food. Human." Ethan took a step back, his mind spinning. "What do you mean?" Before he could finish, the great door behind her opened, light pouring through like a river, and a shadow larger than all the others filled the room. Every giantess bowed instantly, their voices low. "Your Majesty," they whispered. The queen stepped forward taller than any of them, her skin glowing faint gold, her long hair moving like a living flame. Her presence felt like gravity itself, her eyes locked onto Ethan. And the air grew still. "So," she said softly, her voice deep as thunder, "the stars have sent me a gift." Valera knelt and spoke quickly. "Your Majesty, he's not one of us, he came from beyond the clouds." The queen smiled faintly. "Then the gods have answered," she whispered, her gaze never leaving Ethan. "Bring him to my chamber," she commanded, her tone soft but absolute. "I wish to understand him." The others obeyed at once, but Valera hesitated. Her eyes filled with something Ethan couldn't name, fear, or perhaps pity, as they carried him deeper into the fortress. Ethan's heart pounded. He could hear the queen's calm footsteps behind him. Slow and deliberate, the corridors were vast, the walls carved with strange images, giant women reaching toward falling stars, and small shapes like him kneeling before them, A cold realization sank into his chest. This wasn't the first time a man had fallen here, and those who came before never left. The queen's shadow stretched across the floor, touching his feet, her voice soft and haunting. Rest, little human. For tomorrow, we shall see what makes you different. And with that, the great door closed behind him, sealing his fate inside a palace of living gods and starving hearts. Ethan woke to the sound of deep, rhythmic drums echoing through stone walls. His body sore, his head spinning, he was lying on a bed made from woven silk thicker than rope, and the air was heavy with the scent of strange flowers that glowed faintly blue. As his eyes adjusted, he realized the room was enormous, every wall curved upward like the inside of a cathedral, and strange light patterns moved slowly across the ceiling like clouds. He stood, dizzy and overwhelmed, the fabric beneath his feet soft as moss. He could see movement outside, giant shadows passing by huge windows carved into gold and crystal. When he reached the edge of the table, he looked down and froze, far below. Dozens of colossal women were walking through a glowing city, streets alive with floating lanterns and moving vines that pulsed with light. The scale was impossible. The buildings towered like mountains, bridges connecting them like silver ribbons in the sky. And everywhere he looked, he saw women strong, tall, graceful, their voices echoing like wind through the valley. A sudden noise made him jump. The door, if it could be called, that slid open, and Valera entered, her silver hair shining in the soft light. She moved slowly, carefully, as if not to frighten him. "You are awake," she said softly. Her voice lower now, gentler. Ethan nodded. Still shaken. Where am I?" Valera's golden eyes studied him for a moment. "You are in the city of Orin," she said. "The last city of my people." She placed a tray beside him, massive pieces of fruit, glistening like jewels, and a cup the size of his chest filled with clear blue liquid. "Eat," she said. "You will need strength." Ethan hesitated, then tore off a small piece of fruit. It was sweet, warm, and unlike anything he had ever tasted. He looked up at her again. "You said your people haven't seen a man in centuries." Her expression darkened. "Not since the Great Silence," she whispered. "When the plague came and took all our males? Only the females remained." Ethan frowned. "And you survived?" Her lips curved faintly. "We survived, yes, but at a cost." Before he could ask, the door behind her opened again, and the queen entered, the air seeming to tremble with her presence. Her height was impossible, easily 50 feet tall, her skin glowing faint gold like sunlight trapped beneath the surface. Her eyes fixed on Ethan, calm but powerful. "Leave us," she said to Valera, and the warrior obeyed instantly, bowing before disappearing through the massive door. For a moment, there was silence, only the sound of her slow, deep breaths filling the room. Ethan tried to speak, but the words stuck in his throat. The queen stepped closer, her gaze never leaving his face. "Human," she said softly, "do you know where you are?" He shook his head, his voice trembling. "You said this is Orin." "Yes," she said. "Our home, our prison, our paradise." She reached out a finger, touching the surface of the table near him, the force of it sending a small tremor through the air. "My daughters found you in the wild," she continued. "Do you know what that means?" Ethan swallowed hard. "That I crashed?" The queen smiled faintly. "It means the stars have not forgotten us." Her words sent a chill down his spine. She leaned closer, her massive eyes glowing brighter. "You carry something inside you, something we lost long ago." "I don't understand," he said quietly. "You will," she replied, her tone softer now, almost kind. "Tell me, Ethan Ward, what does your world know of desire?" The question stunned him. Desire? She nodded. Yes. The hunger that keeps life burning. Her voice lowered. Almost a whisper. Here it is our curse. He didn't answer. Unsure how her face was close now, her breath warm, her scent strange, sweet, and intoxicating. Like sunlight mixed with lightning, she smiled slightly. You're kind. You love, don't you? You bond. You build families. You touch without fear. Ethan nodded slowly. We try. Her gaze softened, but her voice grew distant. Once we did too. Until the plague came, she turned, her expression unreadable. Now, we live with hunger that never fades. Ethan took a small step forward, curiosity overtaking fear. Hunger? For what? She turned back to him, her eyes glinting with something between sorrow and desire. For connection, she said. For life. For the warmth only a male can give. He froze, the meaning clear now. Her voice dropped lower. You are the first male this world has felt in thousands of cycles. Do you understand what that means? He shook his head slowly. But her expression told him enough. She extended a hand, her enormous finger brushing gently against his chest. The touch soft but powerful, electricity running through him like a wave. He gasped, his vision blurring. He could feel something, his heartbeat quickening. Warmth spreading through his skin. The queen's breath hitched slightly, her pupils dilating. Ah, so it's true, she whispered. Your energy awakens the old fire, suddenly. She pulled back, her composure cracking for the first time. She turned away, gripping a golden pillar, her voice trembling. Leave me, Ethan blinked. Confused. What's happening? Go! She commanded sharply, her voice echoing through the vast chamber, her body shaking as if fighting something within her. The guards entered instantly, one of them grabbing Ethan gently but firmly, leading him out of the throne room as the massive door closed behind him. He caught one last glimpse of the queen's face, her golden eyes flickering like flame, her lips trembling as if she were holding back a scream. He was taken down a long hallway lined with carvings of ancient battles and celestial beings, the air thick with energy that hummed softly against his skin. When they reached a smaller chamber, Valera appeared again, her expression tense. You saw her, didn't you? She asked quietly. Ethan nodded, still shaken. She touched me, and something happened. Valera's eyes widened slightly. Then the old curse is waking, she whispered. You need to be careful, human. Once the queen's hunger stirs, nothing can stop it, Ethan frowned. What do you mean? Valera stepped closer, her gaze fierce. I mean that she doesn't just want your life, Ethan Ward. She needs it. Her words hung heavy in the air, the meaning sharp and terrifying. Somewhere far above, thunder rolled across the twin moons, and the light in the city flickered. Ethan looked toward the window, his reflection small against the massive world beyond, and whispered, I think I'm in more danger than I thought. And from the shadows, unseen by either of them, a pair of golden eyes watched, glowing brighter with each passing second. Night had fallen across the city of Orin, and the twin moons bathed the stone towers in pale light. The air shimmered with silver mist that moved like breath. Alive and restless, Ethan sat near the window of his chamber, staring into the endless horizon, his mind spinning with everything he had learned. Below, he could see the giantesses walking in silent patterns, their glowing bodies like spirits moving through fog, and their voices carried through the night soft, haunting songs that sounded more like prayers. He couldn't sleep, his heart still racing from what the queen had done earlier. That single touch had burned through him, not in pain, but in something he couldn't name, like his blood had turned to light. The door creaked open quietly, and Valera stepped in, her armor gone, her long silver hair loose around her shoulders, her expression tense. You shouldn't be near the window, she whispered, closing it with a slow motion. They can smell your fear. Ethan frowned. Smell it? She nodded, her voice low. Our kind doesn't just see or hear. We feel energy, the warmth that flows through living beings. Emotions, desires, pain. She turned her eyes toward him. Yours is strong and different. It draws them. He looked down at his trembling hands. What's happening to me? Valera hesitated, as if deciding how much to say, then stepped closer, her enormous shadow falling over him. You shouldn't have let the queen touch you, she said softly. Now she's marked you. Marked me? He repeated, confused. She's connected to your energy now, Valera explained, her voice trembling slightly. Your life, your heartbeat, your emotions, she can feel them all, and the more she feels, the stronger her hunger becomes. Ethan's stomach turned cold. So she can. Sense me? Valera nodded slowly. Even now, as we speak. She turned toward the door, glancing into the hallway before closing it again, her expression darkening. You must understand something. Human, she whispered. The queen isn't just our ruler. She's a living relic, the last of the firstborn. The ones who once shaped this planet. Ethan frowned. Then why does she need me? Valera's voice dropped lower. Because her kind is dying, she said. The plague that took our males also took something else. Our balance, our source of life. We feed on energy. The kind that only exists when passion and emotion meet. She paused, her gaze locking with his. You're human. You create that energy just by existing, by feeling, by caring. That's why she can't resist you. Ethan took a step back, realization hitting him. You mean she wants to drain it from me? Valera hesitated, her voice barely a whisper. Yes. She will take what you have until nothing remains. Silence filled the room. Only the faint hum of the city below breaking it. Ethan turned away, gripping the edge of the table. There has to be another way, he said quietly. If your people are dying, there must be something we can do that doesn't. His voice broke. Kill me, Valera's expression softened, her massive hand lowering beside him, her fingers brushing the edge of the floor. You sound like someone who still believes mercy exists, she murmured. That's rare here. For a moment, her voice faltered, and Ethan noticed her eyes filled with exhaustion and pain. You don't want this either, do you? He asked. She looked away, her lips tightening. No, she admitted, but my duty is to her. He took a cautious step closer, his voice calm. Then why are you helping me? Valera didn't answer at first, her chest rising and falling with slow, heavy breaths. Because you remind me of what we lost, she said finally. Before the plague, before the silence. Before desire became hunger. Their eyes met, and for a moment, neither spoke. The air between them warm and electric. Then, suddenly, a deep hum filled the chamber, the sound of energy pulsing through the walls. The air vibrated, and Valera's eyes widened. She's coming, she whispered sharply. The queen has sensed our closeness. The door burst open. Flooding the room with golden light, the queen entered like a storm, her eyes burning brighter than fire, her long hair flowing as if caught in invisible wind. Valera dropped to one knee immediately. Bowing her head, my queen, she said, her voice trembling. The queen's gaze cut through the air, landing on Ethan. So, she said softly, the little human learns quickly who to charm. Ethan stepped back. It's not what it looks like, he said quickly. Her voice deepened, carrying both fury and sorrow. Silence, she commanded, the sound echoing like thunder through the walls. You think I don't feel it? The pulse of your hearts beating together? Valera kept her head down. Forgive me, Majesty, I only sought to warn him. Warn him? The queen repeated, her tone cold. You forget your place, She stepped closer, her shadow swallowing them both. "You touch what is mine," her voice lowered, trembling with anger and something else, something like jealousy. "You would defy your queen for a mortal?" Valera didn't move. "If defiance means protecting the innocent, then yes," she said quietly. The queen's eyes flashed with fury, her voice breaking the silence like a blade. "Then you are no longer my huntress." Lightning flashed through the open windows, the sound of power vibrating the air as the queen raised her hand, and Valera's body lifted off the floor. Bound by invisible energy, Ethan shouted, "Stop! You're killing her." The queen turned her gaze toward him, her fury pausing for a moment at the desperation in his voice. Valera gasped, struggling to breathe, her body glowing faintly from the queen's power. "Don't plead for me," she whispered weakly. "Run while you can." Ethan's heart pounded. He rushed forward, grabbing a shard of broken metal from the floor. "If you hurt her, I swear I'll—" The queen's hand flicked, and he was thrown back like a leaf, crashing against the wall, pain shooting through his chest. The queen stared down at him, her voice trembling. "You dare raise a weapon to me?" But her fury began to falter as she looked into his eyes, anger giving way to something softer, something she didn't understand. She lowered her hand, and Valera fell to the floor, gasping for breath. The queen's eyes shimmered with confusion. "Why? Does this feeling burn?" She whispered to herself. "Why can't I destroy you?" Her power flared for a brief second, then dimmed, her glowing form flickering like a candle struggling against wind. She turned abruptly and walked toward the door, her voice softer, almost broken. "Tomorrow, you will come to me, human, and I will find the truth of what you are." Then she was gone, the great door closing with a sound like thunder fading into silence. Ethan crawled toward Valera, helping her sit up, her breathing ragged. "Why didn't she kill me?" he whispered. Valera looked at him weakly. "Because she can't," she said. "You've already changed her." Outside, the drums began again, echoing through the night, deeper and slower now, as if the city itself could sense that something ancient and forbidden had begun to awaken within their queen, and within the human she could not bring herself to destroy. Dawn crept across the sky of Orin like a wave of molten gold. The city shimmered beneath the twin suns, and the great fortress seemed to hum with energy that hadn't been there before. Ethan sat beside Valera's bed, her massive form still weak from the queen's attack, her breath slow but steady, her silver hair spilling across the floor like liquid light. He had hardly slept. The memory of the queen's eyes haunted him, the way they had burned with anger, and yet trembled with something painfully human. Something like fear. Valera stirred, her eyes opening slowly. "You're still here," she whispered, her voice faint but steady. "I'm not leaving you," Ethan said, standing, his voice quiet but certain. She smiled weakly. You don't understand what she's becoming." He frowned. "You said I changed her. What does that mean?" Valera hesitated, her gaze drifting toward the window, where beams of light pierced through the mist. "The queen's power feeds on emotion, but your kind's energy, it doesn't drain. It creates, it multiplies, and when she touched you, you gave her something she's never felt before." "What did I give her?" he asked softly. Valera looked back at him, her golden eyes sad. "You gave her feeling." Before Ethan could reply, the walls of the room vibrated with a low hum, faint at first, and stronger a call. Not a sound but a feeling, echoing in his chest. Valera sat up with effort, her face pale. "She's calling you," she said. "You have to go. If you don't, she'll come here herself." Ethan hesitated. "She'll kill me." Valera shook her head. "No," she whispered. "She'll claim you." He turned toward the massive door, dread and curiosity mixing in his chest. If I don't come back? You will, Valera said softly, because she won't let you die. Not yet. The walk through the corridors felt endless, each step echoing through halls, carved with stories of the Queen's rain giant women bending the stars. Rivers of energy flowing from their hands, and small shapes humans kneeling before them in ancient reverence. When he reached the throne chamber, 2 guards stepped aside silently, their glowing eyes tracking his every move. The Queen stood before the great window overlooking the city, her golden skin reflecting the morning light, her long hair rippling with invisible power. You came, she said softly, without turning. I didn't have a choice, he replied, his voice cautious. She turned then, and for the first time, Ethan noticed the faint cracks of light across her arms and chest, like fissures in glass, pulsing with slow energy. You see what's happening to me, she said, her voice calm but heavy. Your energy is changing me, breaking me apart. Ethan frowned. Then stop whatever you're trying to do. Her expression softened. You think I can? She whispered, stepping closer. Do you know what it feels like to live 1,000 lifetimes without warmth? Without touch? Without meaning? He didn't answer. Her pain was too real, too raw. You think I want to destroy you, she continued, but what I want frightens me even more. Ethan swallowed hard. What do you want? Her lips trembled slightly. To understand you, she whispered. To feel the way you do. Before he could respond, the room dimmed, golden light swirling around her as she raised her hand. Don't fight me, she said softly. This will not hurt. A wave of warmth enveloped him. And suddenly he was floating not in air, but in memory. Images flashing through his mind, cities burning, skies filled with falling stars, the Queen standing alone in the ruins, surrounded by silence. Her people weeping, her heart empty. He felt her emotions' loneliness so vast it crushed him. Hunger that went beyond the body, a desperate yearning for connection. When it ended, he collapsed to the floor, gasping, his body trembling. The Queen knelt beside him, her expression unreadable. Now you see, she whispered, we are not monsters. We are empty. Ethan looked up at her, his voice hoarse. You don't have to be. Her eyes widened slightly. You speak as if you understand. He reached up slowly, placing a hand against her finger. The contact small but powerful. Maybe I do, he said quietly. But if you take everything from me, you'll just become what the plague made you, alone again. For the first time, the Queen's composure broke. A tear-bright gold slipped down her cheek. Then tell me, human, she whispered, her voice trembling. What should I do? Ethan looked at her, heart pounding. Feel, he said softly. Don't train it. Just feel it. The Queen stared at him for a long moment, then slowly lowered her hand until her fingertip rested against his chest. Warmth spread through him again, but this time it was gentle. Not consuming, the air shimmered, her glow softened, and her eyes flickered with emotion, pain, fear, and something dangerously close to love. Her body trembled. She gasped softly, whispering, It's too much. Ethan's voice was calm. Don't fight it. Light spread from her skin, filling the entire room, and for a heartbeat, everything stood still. Then the light dimmed, and the Queen staggered back, her golden aura flickering, her voice breaking. What? Have you done? Ethan stood, his legs weak but steady. I didn't do anything, he said. You did. You changed. She looked at her hands in shock, no longer glowing fiercely, but warm and soft, her power still there, but tempered by something new, something human. The silence that followed was heavy, the only sound their breathing. Then the doors burst open, and a guard rushed in, bowing low. My Queen! The council knows word has spread that you've bonded with the human. The Queen's eyes turned toward Ethan. Realization dawning, they will come for you, she whispered. They will destroy everything to protect what's left of our purity. Ethan stepped closer. Then stop them. Her expression hardened. I can't, she said. They will not listen to me now. Not after this. Then we run, Ethan said, his voice firm. She blinked, taken aback. Run? He nodded. You wanted to feel like a human? Then start by doing what humans do when the world turns against them. They survive. For a moment. Silence again. Then the Queen smiled faintly, the first true smile he had seen from her. Perhaps that is why the stars sent you, she whispered. Outside, the drums of the city began to thunder, the sound of war rising in the distance, the walls of the fortress trembling. The Queen turned to him, her eyes burning with both power and fear. Then we run, she said softly, and the glow around her began to rise once more. But this time, it wasn't hunger that filled her gaze. It was something far more dangerous, hope. The city of Orin no longer sang with harmony. Its glowing towers pulsed with crimson light, the air thick with the sound of horns and thunderous footsteps. Rebellion had begun. Ethan and the Queen stood on the balcony of her fortress, looking down at chaos spreading through the streets. Thousands of giantesses filled the plazas, their voices shaking the mountains, half crying for their queen, half demanding her destruction. They know, the Queen whispered, her voice soft but full of sorrow. They feel what I feel. Your presence has torn the balance apart. Ethan stared at the horizon, where the golden towers burned like candles. They think I corrupted you, he said quietly, don't they? The Queen turned to him, her eyes dimming. To them. You are temptation given flesh, she said. They believe I have betrayed our sacred vow to live without desire until the end of time. From below came the roar of the High Council, 6 towering figures wrapped in light, their voices echoing across the city. The Queen has fallen. The human has poisoned her heart. Ethan stepped back as their gaze swept over the balcony like a blade of light. What do we do? He asked. The Queen's expression hardened. We fight. Or we run. Before they could move, the doors burst open, and Valera stormed in, her armor cracked, her eyes blazing with urgency. They've broken the outer walls, she said. The council's guard is inside the fortress. Ethan turned in shock. You came back? Valera gave a faint smile. I told you, you always underestimate how stubborn I am. The Queen's gaze softened for a brief second. You defy the council for me? Valera bowed slightly. For him, she said, nodding toward Ethan. Because he's right, your hunger is not evil. It's the part of you that makes you alive. The fortress shook violently, dust falling from the ceiling. The Queen raised her hand, energy bursting around her. I cannot let my people destroy themselves, she said. Not for me. Ethan grabbed her hand, his voice urgent. If you fight them now, you'll kill everyone. Her golden eyes flashed. And if I don't, they'll kill you. A deep rumble echoed from below, the main gate collapsing, the thunder of giant footsteps shaking the very earth. From the windows, Ethan could see the High Council leading hundreds of warriors, their armor burning with the light of ancient power. They're coming for the throne, Valera said, drawing a blade longer than a ship. We can hold them for a while. Ethan shook his head. No, we can't fight them all. The Queen hesitated, her voice low. There is another way. They turned as she pressed her hand to the crystal floor, the ground glowing under her touch, forming a circle of light. This leads to the lower chambers, she said. The old escape tunnels built during the wars of creation. Valera frowned. No one has used them in ages. They could be unstable. Better unstable than dead, Ethan said quickly. Let's go. The Queen nodded, her long hair flowing behind her like a trail of fire. She knelt, lifting Ethan gently into her hand. Stay close, she whispered, and the floor split open, revealing a dark tunnel that descended deep into the earth. As they entered, the world above roared with war shouts, explosions, and the hum of energy weapons. The screams of the giantesses echoed through the tunnels, mingling with the crackle of fire. Ethan clung to her finger, the air hot and thick. "They'll destroy the city," he said, his voice hoarse. The queen's tone was quiet but steady. "Then Orin will fall. But something new will rise." They reached a vast underground chamber, walls lined with ancient carvings, strange glowing symbols that pulsed faintly as she passed. "What is this place?" Ethan asked. "The heart of Orin," she replied. "The first temple built before the silence. When our kind still shared the bond of life with your ancestors." Ethan's eyes widened. "Our ancestors?" She nodded slowly. "Your people came here once, long before history forgot, and in their love for us, they gave us the gift of emotion, but we feared its power. So we buried it." Valera turned sharply, her face pale. "The council always said it was a myth." The queen's voice grew heavier. "It was no myth, it was a warning." A sudden tremor shook the chamber, and part of the ceiling collapsed, dust raining down. A beam of red light cut through the darkness. The council had found them. "Go!" Valera shouted, grabbing a fallen stone and hurling it toward the tunnel behind them. "I'll hold them off." Ethan looked up at her in shock. "No, you can't fight them alone." She smiled faintly, her golden eyes fierce. "I was born to protect," she said. "Now go." "Before I change my mind." The queen's face was unreadable, but her voice trembled slightly. "Your name will not be forgotten." "Valera." With a powerful leap, Valera turned and ran back toward the collapsing tunnels, the sound of her battle cries echoing behind them as the chamber sealed. Ethan looked at the queen, his heart pounding. "She's buying us time." The queen nodded, her eyes glimmering with grief. "And time is the one thing I can no longer control." They followed the glowing path deeper into the core, where the walls shimmered with streams of living light. Suddenly, the queen stopped, placing him down gently on a stone platform. "It's here," she whispered. "The source, the ancient well of energy that binds our world." The chamber ahead pulsed like a giant heart, each beat sending waves of warmth through the air. Ethan stared in awe. "What are you going to do?" Her expression was calm, resolute. "End it," she said softly. "If I destroy the bond, the hunger will fade. My people will be free." He shook his head. "No, you'll die." She smiled faintly. "I already have, long ago." Ethan stepped closer, placing his hand on her glowing finger. "There's another way, share it. Don't destroy it." Her eyes widened slightly. "Share it?" "Yes," he said, his voice trembling but firm. "That's what connection means. It's not taking. It's giving." For a long moment, she just stared at him, then slowly nodded. "Then stand with me, human." She extended her hand, light flaring from her chest, wrapping around them both. The energy rising like a storm. From above, the ceiling split open, the light shooting toward the surface like a beacon, flooding the sky of Orin with gold. The cries of war turned into silence. Every giantess across the city froze, feeling warmth fill their chests, a memory of what they had lost returning all at once. Ethan held on as the queen's power surged, his voice barely a whisper. "You're not alone anymore." Her reply came soft and broken. "Neither are you." And as the light consumed them both, the planet itself seemed to exhale, the hunger that had plagued the Orin for centuries vanishing like mist. But in the center of that blinding storm, the queen's form began to fade, her voice echoing faintly, "Remember me." Not as your captor, but as the one who finally felt. Then everything went silent, the golden glow fading into the calm hum of rebirth. Far above, the twin suns rose over a city reborn, And from the heart of its ruins, a small human figure emerged from the dust, his hand still warm with the memory of her touch. Ethan looked toward the sky, whispering into the light. "You kept your promise," but deep beneath the surface, unseen by all, two faint golden eyes opened again, watching, waiting and burning with life once more. The golden storm had faded, but its echo lingered across the planet. The skies above Orin shimmered with ribbons of light that danced like living fire, and the great city lay silent beneath it. The war that had torn the land apart, now buried under waves of stillness. Ethan stood in the ruins of the Queen's fortress, ash swirling around his boots, his heart heavy, his mind echoing with her final words. He called her name into the wind, Sarithra, but only silence answered him. The Queen was gone, or so he thought. The air smelled of rain and stone, the twin suns breaking through clouds of gold, the once hungry planet now calm, peaceful but hauntingly empty. All around him, the giantesses emerged slowly from hiding, confused, trembling, their glowing skin dimmed, but their eyes clearer. More human, one of them looked down at him, her voice soft. "It's gone." "The hunger." "It's gone," another whispered. "The Queen saved us." Ethan looked toward the horizon, where the light still pulsed faintly, his chest tight. "She did more than that," he murmured. "She set you free." From behind him came a sound, footsteps. Slow, heavy, familiar. He turned sharply, heart pounding, and there, stepping from the shadows, was Valera, her armor scorched, her silver hair tangled with ash, but her eyes alive. "You're alive," Ethan said, his voice breaking with relief. She smiled weakly. "Barely," she said. "The tunnels collapsed after the light, but something pulled me out." Her gaze moved toward the glowing sky. "I think it was her," Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. "She's gone." Valera's voice was quiet. "Maybe. Or maybe she's part of everything now." The sound of engines cut through the air metal. Mechanical, human, Ethan froze and looked up, his heart leaping above the clouds. A fleet of ships descended, silver hulls glinting in the sunlight. "The rescue signal," he whispered. "It worked?" Valera frowned. "More of your kind?" He nodded. "They must have traced the beacon I activated before everything happened." She looked at the ships, her expression unreadable. "Then you're going home." Ethan hesitated. "Home," he said softly, the words suddenly heavy, distant. The ships landed on the scorched plains outside the fortress, and human soldiers in white armor spilled out, scanning the area with weapons ready, their voices crisp and full of tension. "Captain Ethan Ward." One shouted through a loudspeaker, "Identify yourself." Ethan raised his hand. "Here," he called, his voice echoing through the ruins. The soldiers froze when they saw him small against the massive remains of the alien city, surrounded by towering women watching in silence. The human commander stepped forward cautiously, his eyes widening. "You actually survived." "Barely," Ethan replied, glancing up at the silent giants around him. "But I didn't do it alone." The commander's gaze flicked toward Valera, his hand tightening on his weapon. "What are they?" Ethan stepped in front of her instinctively. "They're not what you think. They're survivors." The commander frowned. "Survivors or predators?" "Our sensors show energy spikes all over this planet, Captain." "Are these creatures hostile?" Valera's eyes narrowed, her voice calm but firm. "We are not your enemies." The soldier stiffened. Startled by her deep, resonant voice, Ethan turned back to his commander. "Listen to me. They were victims, not monsters. Their queen sacrificed herself to stop a curse that was killing their world." The commander hesitated and lowered his weapon slightly. "You've been here too long, Ethan," he said softly. "You sound like one of them." Ethan's jaw tightened, his mind racing, torn between two worlds that would never understand each other. From behind him, Valera spoke quietly. "Go with them." "Human," he turned sharply. "I can't just leave you," she smiled faintly. "You must. Your world will need to hear what happened here. Someone must remember her." Her voice trembled. "And someone must carry her memory beyond the stars." Ethan felt his chest tighten. "If I leave, will you be safe?" Valera nodded slowly. "The hunger is gone. The fighting will stop. The Queen's gift changed us all. We'll rebuild." She looked up at the glowing sky, her voice softer. "She believed in you." "So do I." The commander's voice broke through the silence. "Captain, we're leaving. We need to go now." Ethan turned one last time toward the city, where golden petals from the trees drifted through the air like falling light. The planet breathing peacefully for the first time in centuries. He whispered under his breath, "Goodbye, Sarethra." Then he climbed aboard the shuttle, his heart heavy, watching Valera shrink into the distance, her figure framed against the ruins of the ancient world. Her hand raised in silent farewell, the engines roared, and the ship lifted into the sky, cutting through clouds that glowed with the last remnants of the Queen's light. Ethan sat by the window, staring down as the planet grew smaller, a sphere of gold and blue fading into the dark sea of space. The commander approached, his tone cautious. "You said their queen sacrificed herself how?" Ethan looked up slowly, his voice quiet but sure. "She learned what it meant to love." The commander blinked, uncertain. "Love?" Ethan nodded. "It saved them. And maybe it'll save us too." As the ship broke through the atmosphere, the sensors flickered with a strange signal, a heartbeat, echoing faintly from the planet below. Rhythmic and steady, Ethan glanced at the monitor, his pulse quickening. "That's impossible." The commander frowned. "What is it?" Ethan stared at the signal, a faint golden waveform, pulsing like a whisper through the stars. "She's alive," he murmured, his voice trembling. "She's still there." The commander turned, confused, but Ethan kept his eyes on the screen. Watching the golden pulse fade slowly into silence, he pressed a hand against the glass, the stars stretching out before him. "One day," he whispered, "I'll come back." And far below, deep beneath the heart of Orin, a ripple of light moved through the soil, through roots, through rivers. A single voice, soft as starlight, whispered from the darkness, "Then I will be waiting." The twin suns rose again over a world reborn. And somewhere, in the endless quiet between heartbeats, a new promise was written into the stars. That love, even between worlds, never truly ends.